Shane Dripshack for a Sports in Focus with softball and baseball in focus for a Thursday night. Got the show cranking up. Going to talk some softball in the beginning about Northern Guilford and the Nighthawks and their great season. Got their great coach with us, Russell Dorrell's in the house tonight. He's been the GreensboroSports.com Coach of the Year in previous years, back a couple of years ago. And Coach, how did you go about building this program? How long have you been there now? How did you go about building the program?
Well, this is actually my fourth year there at Northern Guilford High School. And really building the program is a matter of, again, seeing those players buy into the program. And that is a real challenge, coming into a program that was fairly successful, had a few, I guess you would say, speed bumps, I guess, early on with their program.
When you came in, did you say, well, I've got a good crop of players, all I've got to do is make sure I don't do too many tweaks and just kind of keep smooth?
Well, you know, the first year I did do that, and I really just kind of spent the first year evaluating the players and getting them the opportunity to. Hope that would help. Sorry.
Got extra there.
Yeah, but the first year I didn't have any seniors. The first year I ended up with only juniors who came out, and I had some really talented players there. Two of those players went on to play in college, Kaylee Hicks and Lexi Venata.
Venata, I remember her when she got the scholarship a couple years ago.
She went down to Charleston Southern.
Right.
And she's been very successful down there. And Kaylee Hicks went down to Furman and played with Natalie Clemens, who was there the year before
Natalie,
I got there. So Natalie just graduated, actually. I saw her at, not at graduation, but back at school.
Did she play all 4 years down there?
She did play all 4 years.
I give her a lot of credit because I think, man, that's a rough and tumble sport. You get into college, you have a chance to be around. Unfortunately, around some injuries occasionally. You got to kind of be rough and tumble to keep playing that game 4 years.
She did very well. She was the shortstop all 4 years, and she really had a great career down there with them at Furman. But that first year was a little rough. We did very well. I think we were 13-11. I mean, coming off a season that was a little worse than that. But
who was the coach before you got there? Maybe we remember?
Cynthia Jones, who was a PE coach. She was an assistant coach there when they had some issues with losing their coaching staff.
I got you.
And then she stayed on. She was there, and she took over the program.
And you came in 13-11, you said the first year?
The first year, yes.
Not bad. Was the Dobbins girl already gone by then?
No, she was there.
Yeah. Was she one of your pitchers in the beginning?
She was one of the pitchers.
I remember her name,
in the beginning, she was a junior. She pitched really that year. That was my pitcher. Really was Ashton Dobbins. She's at NC State.
That Ashton name's not too bad for you then.
Yeah, Ashton's been around a while. Yeah, but she's at NC State. She went into art design over there at NC State, and she's not playing softball, but she's a great kid. She really, and then our senior year, she helped us out tremendously going into the run into the playoffs. At the end of the season, Ashton Lambeth actually was injured at the end of my second season, and Ashton Dobbins came in and pitched and didn't really want to do that year, but so
she'd already given up the mound and decided to go to another position.
Correct, because she saw that we had some other players coming in.
That's good to have a player to do that, because sometimes if I come in with a team, I've got my position. Somebody new comes in, I don't want to give my position up, and if I'm forced to do that, sometimes I don't want to readjust and go someplace else. That's just human nature.
Right, and there are kids who do that, who just kind of walk away and say, well, somebody else is coming in.
It's always good to see a player move over and say, I'll take another spot and let this new player take over.
She did a great job for us. She played first base most of the season and was really very efficient at first base.
That's an important spot in that game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You talked about that earlier, about down at the state games, how important that first base spot defensively is.
Yeah, you just can't have those extra outs at first base.
It's more than just the ground ball to the first base, but it's also the throw over to first base. It's also, I guess even in your case, maybe trying to keep people on to not allow them to steal second base, all kinds of things involved over there.
Not stealing second, but also trying to get that out at first, then trying to come back to third or back to home.
Oh,
you still got to have an arm to try to get those double plays.
If they have that ground ball to first base, you get that there, and they try to take home on you, then you get ready to bring the ball to the plate. It's got to be a very deliberate, very decent throw. Otherwise, you're giving up a run.
Absolutely.
That was that play at first base in your game. I think it's Lee County. I'll come over. That's the play I won't forget. When you hit that smasher, your team hit the smash down toward first base. That seemed like that was one of the key plays of the game.
Yeah,
maybe the season.
It's not unbelievable that one play right there allowed us to get into the regionals, because that was Katie Bilbrey, and she dropped a shot I think, down the first
That's what I
baseline.
remember about that game, and that's the only game I saw in its entirety all year. And to me, just by having only watched one game, I got to be biased, but I would have to say that's probably one of your toughest, if not best, games of the year because you were down 1-0 going late, and that Lee County team was pretty confident too. They were confident.
They were very confident. They put a home run over the fence, and
Sure did.
Mallory Price had got a run in. She'd driven a run in. And that was Ann Tewksbury who got driven in by her. And then Katie Belbury had her sitting at, we had driven in a run with no outs. And then really, so we tied the game. And then we got a couple outs. And then Katie Belbury got up, and Mallory Price was over at third base. And she was able to drive her in with that play over the first baseman and scored the winning run there in a walk-off fashion.
It's interesting, too,
win,
how that
you know,
game can be a little
going to
forgiving
East
because
Regionals.
Tewksbury's in the game, gives up that home run. You
Yeah.
change pitchers. Ashley Lambert comes in, and Tewksbury factors into the tie of the game and the win of the game.
Right, absolutely. It gets the tying run to keep us in the game.
That's great. I mean, I was going to
amazing.
ask about this later. Ask about it now. What about the fact you're in a pretty good situation to have two very good pitchers? That's kind of a thing. Sometimes you mentioned back in the day you were lucky to have the one. Now you've
Well,
got a team
yeah,
of two,
exactly.
and
I mean-
neither one was a senior, which makes it even better for the future, I guess.
Right, and they're both juniors, and both Ann and Ashton kind of, I would say, almost worked off each other. They really helped each other improve their skills and their push in the game. They both have very good command of the field when they're in, and they really challenge each other, I think, to make a difference in the game.
And you look at both of them too, kind of different too. As I'm sure their personalities are different. I mean, their body types are different. I was looking at Tewksbury.
Yeah.
I think on the mound, her arms are so small. I felt like, man, I hope nobody hits her with a ball. Maybe break. The other girl's a little bit more bigger in stature, so it's two different.
And Tewksbury's
body
a little
makeups.
taller and a little thinner, and she's got more of a. I don't want to say they're both about the same speed. They're both about the same control. She's got great control and placement. But yeah, they are a lot different when you look at them.
How much of their game did you add to them when you got a hold of those two girls? Did they already have their game packaged when they came to you in a package, or did you work on that a little bit and adjust it on their games?
Well, as a pitcher, we get pitchers that have already obviously gone to pitching coaches. I don't really have a pitching coach. I'm not a pitching coach. I know that they both work with a pitching coach, and so pitching-wise, we know that they're coming with resource for us. Defense-wise, first base, we worked on with both of them. They both played first base and did a tremendous job for us there. So.
And that's kind of neat too, because they're not pitching, they're both first basemen. Then
Yeah.
that's pretty good because they share the same position no matter what they're doing.
Well, and Ann Tewksbury actually, on defense, she could play anywhere. She played a little bit of shortstop for us. She played a little bit of third base. She played a little bit of outfield. I mean,
And you
just
mentioned they
all-around
work with
athlete.
an outside pitching coach, I guess I'm right?
Yes,
And
they
as a
do.
head coach, you don't have any problem with that. Sometimes guys say, man, I can't. This guy goes off to the city of the straight, he comes back, I can't do it. But with your situation, it's probably a bonus maybe for you.
Well, I think it is. It's almost like having an extra staff
Yeah.
member that I don't have, and I don't really have to worry about because I know that they're getting good
They're in good
instruction.
hands, yeah.
And they're in very good hands. I guess I don't know that I want to. Well, it's Tarwin Mowat is the pitching coach, and she went to Arizona. She was national champion pitcher when
She was in the women's NCAA
women's
finals.
NCAA
And on the
finals.
championship team.
Yes.
How do you find people like that? Or do they find you? Or they find the kids? Does she live here locally? Or they?
She does live here
Wow,
locally, which
interesting.
is kind of interesting.
Give
but,
us her name, because not to try to say, let's get this name. I just don't know the name. Give us that name again. It's an interesting
I'm
name.
going to look it up because
It's an
I always say it
interesting
wrong,
name.
but it's Tarwin. It's Mowat is the last name.
Mowat. Okay.
But yeah, she's in the area. One of she actually works for a company that one of my other players' dads owns.
Okay.
And
That's
so
how the connections
that kind of
happen
the connection
sometimes.
happened.
Yeah.
And it's really
It's a
been an asset
small
for
world,
us.
and you find something like that too off a championship team.
Exactly.
It's amazing. I mean, the softball game. When I came out to watch that Friday night game, watching the entire game that night, so just watching bits and pieces. That softball game, you could almost tell your girls, well, girls, things have changed. We've changed rules. Years ago, we played slow pitch softball, slower pace. Now we're playing fast pitch. They've changed for next year. NCHSA wants us to play baseball next year. You can almost play baseball as fast as pace as that softball game is.
Yeah, it's definitely changing. So
I think it's changed for the better because I like the game because if you go to a lot of these games over the years as you get older, you don't like a slow-paced game. You don't like you like a fast-paced game, good defensive action. That Lee County game to me, I mean, I said, man, this game is right on the money. This is a fast-paced game. This game is rolling.
I mean, it was a lot of up and down. It was a lot of, we didn't leave a lot of bodies stranded in
and that will also sometimes shock a new person coming in, too. I know a lot of those people came in were new people because Lee County had their own fan base. You've got your fan base and got a good group of people there, too. But you come in like you see a game being played that clean, you say, man, this is interesting. This is a good form of sport because sometimes people's expectations might be, well, one team's going to get beat up a little bit, roughed up, and they're going to collapse, and another team's going to wear them out. But man, that's a well-played game, top to bottom there.
Well, and I think it's a real testimony to the players is that they didn't collapse at any time, especially in that game. I mean, we had just beat a game against Southwestern Randolph, the same score, 2-1, and that was a very challenging game for us again. And again, we saw the resolve of they just knew they could push through and they knew they could do it. I think as a team they really, I don't want to say congealed or came together at the end of the season. And then, as you go into that state playoffs, a little bit of that anxiety, excitement of it all, kind of the thrill of it, I think might have been a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But, it was a great experience. No
when
doubt
they got
about
further
it.
and they got into the playoffs, so they start tracking the brackets, they start watching who they might be looking at.
Yeah, I think they got a little anticipated about who we might play and got a little nervous about, who's up there.
Yeah, because you start seeing Southwest Randolph, who's got a huge tradition of softball. Then we heard about Topsail before, how good they were, because some of our teams here, I think, went down there back during Easter and played. And, you start seeing those teams ahead of us. That's going to be some tough competition. And this Lee County team, they were tough. And the Inca team, I didn't know much about them before they came into this series with you guys, but it sounds like they've got a tradition almost as steeped and strong as Alexandra Central does.
Well, they haven't been there that often, but they've got a very strong program. And again, we talked a little bit about that with, with the newspaper, but understanding how different our programs are because we live in more of a city area, more of a urban
You're not
area.
the huge travel ball area for the most part.
No, but we have girls in travel ball, but on all kinds of different teams.
Right.
And out there, they all tend to play together the time.
Yeah.
So that really helps kind of build that.
Kind of got a little factory going over there then with the same people on the same teams. Here, like you said, they're spread out on a bunch of different teams. And I guess they play it as serious here as they do there, but maybe when they're being spread out as much, it doesn't really, it helps you, but then it could help you more if they were all together on the same team probably.
Well, I think part of that is just that team building.
Yeah.
And, you get into that, players start playing for themselves instead of playing for the team. Mm-hmm. They want to look at their stats. They want their numbers to be out there. Trying to impress somebody. You go into a UNCG, you're going to a college field, and you're thinking, well, there's going to be a lot of people there watching this game, and so it's part of that excitement of being there, but part of that anxiety of, I have to perform at maybe a different level.
I tell you, the level here, you're looking at your stats coming in for that game change every night. Your level of play has been so high all season long. Sometimes numbers are so large they haven't really come down yet because the competition gets tougher as the season moves on. Sometimes your numbers are so large you can't differentiate as much because they are so, they don't say they're inflated, but they're blown up pretty good because they played so well. Then you start playing the teams like the Incas, and then you're playing like the Lee County, maybe the Southwest Randolph. Those numbers start to come down a little bit, then they look different. Yeah.
And every little hit makes a huge difference.
Oh, it does.
Every one of those
4 trips to the plate, you split that up 4 ways, you get to 250. It's much different than the 750. Yeah.
Right.
And you're used to maybe batting 4 times, and maybe you're going 500 or 750 almost every game.
Right.
And you're starting in now. I'm lucky to get a hit against a team like this.
How about a team like that? Yeah, exactly.
How about the most rewarding win of the year?
Well, I have to say it was actually beating Eastern Alamance for the conference tournament championship because we had just lost to them really about a week and a half before, or now about 2 weeks before. And we had split through the season, so 2-0 and 2-0. and then to be able to go over there at their place and win that conference tournament championship was kind of I don't want to say the most rewarding, but they were definitely our challenging team in the conference.
It's you look at that conference, so you got two teams that have as much talent as both of you do have. That's pretty strong conference competition right there. You're blessed to have those two teams that much talent in the same group there, the same group. And sometimes it's not good because the talent's so strong, somebody's going to get knocked out eventually. But between the two of you, well representing the conference as you go to the States.
Yes, yeah.
How about the vision you had for the team you first came in? What was the vision you had? What did you want to see this team do?
Well, the vision for this team really was to become a team and work together. Because again, like I said, in that first year, I just kind of watched the players and see how they were, and there were very strong players, very opinionated players. You could see the
Something you gotta
players
get used to,
that had been pushing kind of. I don't know, I want to say maybe pushing the way things should be.
Pushing the limits a little bit.
And pushing those limits, and then coming in and trying to set some standards, trying to build character. Really making them understand that it's more than just playing the game. It's learning lifetime values and really bringing that to them. So.
And they bought into it. It took a little time.
And they have. And this was again. Morgan Fuqua was one of my first freshmen who came in my first year and then came through this whole season. Now, Katie Bilbrey's kind of a special case as a senior because I actually coached her before I transferred over to Northern at Northwest.
Wow.
I did the fall workouts with her. She's an amazing, dedicated player. She's very just an athlete all the way around. She's going to Salem College this fall.
Salem, okay.
Yeah, and so it's just a great thing. I'll hopefully get to go see some of her games
now,
in the spring.
So. Salem and Winston-Salem?
Yeah,
okay,
Salem over in Winston-Salem.
Gotcha.
Right here. So, so we played against her actually the first year that we played.
Interesting.
And we beat them that year, the first year that I was coaching. And then she transferred over. The family moved over to where we were. And, she's going to be a tough one to replace as a catcher because she's really
That's a tough spot. Yeah, tough spot. Now, your catcher wears a mask, we all know. Does your pitcher wear a mask too? I think she does. Or does she?
I know.
One of your pitchers
both
does?
of them do.
Yeah,
Ashton and Ann both wear masks.
Because the girl from Lee County didn't. I was a little bit surprised. I would always think, gosh, I'd never wear one.
I don't know that I would want to stand
Once
up
I
there
saw that
40 feet away from
Giancarlo Mike Stanton guy wearing a mask, hitting the ball like he does, nobody should have any problem wearing a mask because you can still be successful wearing that mask.
Yeah.
Do you have some of the same goals going into every season?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do have the goals of basically improving, not only as a team, getting a better record, but also improving their skills. Because we do. I mean, that's one of our goals is to take them from the beginning of the season, where they, even speed-wise, maybe they're not running as fast as they'd like to. And we're going to spend time doing conditioning and improving that throughout the season, which is very difficult when you get into a season like ours where
Now the bar.
we didn't get we didn't even have a first day of tryouts. I mean, we didn't have tryouts until Saturday of the first week of
all because of the weather, right?
Because of the weather.
Crazy weather. Yeah. Wow.
We so pushing all that off, making that adjustment all there, that was pretty difficult to do.
Pretty challenging there.
And then we didn't have any scrimmages before we started the regular season. And our first regular season game actually turned out to be Western Alamance, which is a conference game.
Yeah, I heard some of the coaches talking about that, yeah.
We only had 2 non-conference games, and they both were in the middle of the season.
Well, that didn't help you get ready to.
No, it was really challenging to be able to step into this season the way we had to this year. So.
And I guess you've raised the bar a little bit for next year, right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, I really I hope I can get their commitment to the team and commitment to improving themselves and their skills so that we can continue to make that march and get back to the state playoffs.
Do you have any kind of team motto, any kind of team saying?
Well, our team motto this year was called Finish Strong, and that came from a book that we read actually as a team by Dennis Green, I think it is, or Dan Green, sorry.
Okay.
Dan Green. And it's called Finish Strong for your teen athletes. And it has, I think, 16 chapters or so. And so we took a couple chapters every week and kind of went through it. But it's not about sports as much as it is about learning about life, learning to respect authority, learning to respect the game, being committed, being, an athlete first. A student athlete, but being a student first because that's your main goal in high school. But also making sure you're an athlete, not just a softball player, but an athlete. That you have the skills, the physical fitness skills.
Year-round athlete.
Year-round athlete, and not just
we
being
used to call that in college. What you guys study these lifetime sports because you're not an athlete just for this week or this year or this 4 years. You need to be one for your entire life.
Right.
And that'll keep you and help you out down the road too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and like you said, not only just a physical fitness athlete, but a discipline athlete too.
Discipline.
You get in a tough spot in life, and exactly.
You're going to work together with people.
A lot of life lessons. Yeah, life lessons.
And so that was really a lot of that, and I think that really helped us because it got people to kind of open up a little bit with each other, share their thoughts and feelings.
You get to know each
can
other
be
a little
difficult.
bit too. Yeah, you get to know each other kind of on a personal basis. Yeah.
Right.
Now, other than the final game, the final series, was the toughest game of the year, like you said, maybe that Eastern Alamance game?
Toughest game? Well, actually, our toughest game probably turned out to be the Moorhead game, but we just won 10-9 at the last regular season game.
Interesting.
Over at Moorhead.
Wow.
Again, it was their senior night, so we got over there, we're ready to play, and then we spend 20 minutes doing senior night. And I think the girls were a little off.
It became a 10-9 game against. What was Moorhead's record over the course of the season? You can't remember the exact record. What were they? Probably a 500 team, maybe, or were they
a little bit better than that? They ended up third in conference. So I mean, they went to the state playoffs.
They
actually lost to Topsail down at Topsail.
I remember that because we saw that somewhere. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow.
So
good stuff.
So we had a little knowledge of Topsail when we went there.
Let's get to Topsail. You got that Topsail series going in. You expected a tough one. You kind of breezed through that series in some ways.
Well, in the first game, 11-2. That was we were surprised. But again, that's a long travel distance. They came in an activity bus all day. And then had to travel back. So I know that was a challenge for them because we traveled the next day, and it was a challenge for us.
What was the score the next day?
It was 3-2.
That was a tough one there, tougher. Yeah, I followed that old line because somebody was tweeting those scores. Yeah, and you guys put it together because at one time earlier I think they were tough, but on top, and you guys pulled it out.
Right, and Mallory Price again drove in the winning run in that game as a lefty. She's been really great for us this year. Sophomore, she played right field. Really just, was able to find herself, I think, this year.
For you, that was a tough week, too. Very tough week, family-wise.
The week before, my father had passed, and so we were able to discuss and make arrangements with their athletic director and their coach to move the games up so that I could travel out of town on that weekend and be able to take my dad. He's originally from Kansas, so we had to take him out there for his funeral.
Had he moved here?
He had moved here with me because of his health.
Gotcha.
He'd been here in Greensboro about 5 years. My mom had passed away about 4 years ago now.
Wow. And they both had been here.
Yeah.
They both, gotcha. In some ways,
What's amazing about that whole story, though, is the fact that the coach from Topsail had lost his dad just the week before mine.
That's right. I read about that somewhere too. Yeah.
Had actually the funeral the Friday of the fourth round of the state playoffs.
Right.
I mean, we played softball on that.
You played that. That was the night you played Lee County, right?
That was Lee County.
That was Memorial Weekend that Friday night.
Yeah, that Friday night.
It's amazing. And just the overall situation. And plus, it worked out well for you. The fact you had a pretty good layoff before you get ready to play again the following week.
Yeah,
time in between.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. To be honest, I mean, it was a long time off. We played Thursday, and then we didn't play again until the next Friday. And I actually missed a couple practices because of travel, which meant was hoping the girls would keep their focus. We did have a memorial service here for my dad on that Tuesday before the game, and again, all that emotion and all that week, I think part of that again became just almost overwhelming.
I think your team becomes your extended family, right?
It does,
they
very
do.
much so.
I'm sure they felt a lot of what you were feeling. They were able to share it with you, and it's probably good to have them with you because those kids kind of become like your kids.
They were very much so supportive. The whole, not just the kids, but the parents.
The entire
were very
community.
Supportive,
of
what we needed to do, and and came out and supported me and my family tremendously, and really made I think a huge difference. But at the same time, I know that was difficult on them because my emotions were not probably in the right place all the time.
When did it? Were you able to, after a few days, able to get zeroed back in on the task at hand?
Well, again, that was kind of the challenge. Was then
right.
On Tuesday we had practice, Wednesday we had practice, and we actually went down to UNCG and just went down to the field and talked about the fact it's just a softball field, just like every other field that we played on. And we had been home actually for a long time, coming up to that point, because we'd played all our state games at home, except for the one game away at Topsail. So, but again, part of that was just trying to make sure they understood that we can only control what we can control, and one of those is to try to control our emotions here. And I think that was a real challenge for us there in the state game.
Tell us, we talk about Russ Dorrell. Who is Russ Dorrell? Where did you come from as you arrived here in this area? Where were you at before? I know Kansas is part of the equation, I'm sure.
Yeah, Kansas is where my dad is from, but I'm originally actually from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Okay.
Long ways away. I traveled around a lot. My parents were not. My dad was in the Navy, but he was not in the Navy when I was in service, or when I was there. But we traveled around a lot. I went from Florida to California to North Dakota to New York.
Was it an education trip as you're going? You're doing education?
No.
That's
This
your
is
family.
My dad
your
moving
family.
around.
So you guys were really moving a lot then.
So we moved quite a bit as a family.
As that was based on the military?
No, he worked for companies.
I got you. Business moves. Yeah.
Did business moves and different things. He worked as a project engineer.
So you didn't
mostly for General Electric.
You didn't lay down too many roots much that younger days then. Not too many roots.
No, I didn't. And so this is actually the longest we've ever been in a single location.
And you've been here, 4 years now? 5 years?
No, well, I've been at Northern for 4 years.
4 years?
But I have been here in Greensboro since 2003, so we're going on 12 years. And that's really different for me because I retired from the military in 2005.
Really? That's interesting, too. So you're in the military up to that point.
I was a submariner by trade. I went to the Naval Academy.
So what your dad did with the Navy, it kind of rubbed off on you, too,
it rubbed off a little bit on me.
Wow, that's 30 years in the military or 25? 20 to do 20. Gotcha.
I graduated from the Naval Academy in 1985.
Naval Academy. Wow.
Yes,
Annapolis. Man, that's impressive. 1985, you say?
Yeah.
Wow, impressive.
It's our 30-year anniversary coming up here.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That makes me think of George Welsh and Tom O'Brien and guys like that.
All those guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, so the last 2 years in the Navy, I spent here at the Naval Reserve Center here in
Is that the place near the airport?
Out on 68.
Yeah, I remember that place.
Right there on 40. It's called a Naval Support and Operations Center now, but it's basically a reserve center.
Yeah.
We had about 600 reservists at the time.
Were you in the submarines at any time in the Navy?
I was in
Did
submarines.
you like going out in the water and being
I did
locked
enjoy
in?
that.
You enjoyed it then?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
as an officer, it was a good deal because you got at least to see out the periscope.
So you retired at a pretty good status when you got out of the Navy then?
I did. After 20 years, I was a lieutenant commander.
Wow.
And so I retired here, got right into teaching.
Wow.
At Northwest, actually.
Transition, going from the military to the teaching, that's a good transition.
It was. For me, I had actually taught at the Naval Academy, actually, as an instructor as well as the postgraduate school in Monterey, California.
That's good stuff.
And so I was an educator, basically, from
That's
before.
Good stuff, yeah.
But at the same time, I have 5 kids, and I had missed a lot of the things that they were doing.
You got back with the family then.
And I was able to get on their schedule with school. I thought becoming a teacher would give me the opportunities to
if they're
summers.
in school and you go to school, you're going to be together, and you're going to get your schedule's going to be a lot when you get to summers off. That's right.
You get the same holidays, same vacation days.
Wow. And you went to Northwest Guilford and began to teach there.
Yes, sir.
What did you teach there?
I taught math.
Teaching math. Gotcha. That's good stuff. Some of the same Northwest people, were they there then that are there now?
Yeah.
Because Northwest people, for some reason, it's like, a lot of the kids that went to school there actually came back and taught there. It's like they've got deep roots out there.
Quite a number who go back there and teach.
Wow. So Northwest up until like 4 years ago, then you made the transition to Northern.
Correct. Wow. Actually, I just finished my 3rd year teaching at Northern.
Gotcha.
The first year, I actually taught at Northwest, but coached at Northern.
That's something that happens a lot more these days, too. Now, how did that that go? I mean, gosh, just initially, I guess it went okay, but you think about all this,
a little bit of rivalry
district and all.
there.
Yeah, I'm a teacher at Northwest. I'm going to be coaching at Northern.
Yeah.
Are you glad to see me this afternoon? Yeah.
I mean, it was a challenge the first year because I would get off of school and have to run over to practice.
Exactly.
And that made it a real challenge in the first year. But it's great being over there now and being able to see the girls on a regular basis, spend time with them.
Now, here's another question kind of fits right on what we've been talking about. What makes Northern Guilford a good stop on the educational map?
Educational map?
Yeah.
Wow.
What makes it a good educational stop?
Well, as education goes, I would say the teachers there are committed to the students.
And it seems like,
as
too,
a faculty, we really do.
Yeah. And it seems like
try
you've
to
got a
go
lot
out
of
of our
husband
way.
and wife combination over the years. So remember, some of the coaches come in, their wife, he's got a lot of family connections there.
There are
Deep.
family connections over there. I think a number of different families are over there. I mean, there's families from Northwest and Northern. Cynthia Jones, who was the previous softball coach, her husband teaches and coaches over at Northwest. But really, I mean, I think we have a very caring set of staff there. The teachers, the staff there are really trying to do what's best for the students.
You're studying these students, trying to figure out how they tick and what they need as far as their educational help goes.
Right.
Yeah. What about Northern Guilford? What makes Northern Guilford a tough out on the softball field? What makes them a tough out?
Tough out. Well, I guess their persistence. I mean, there were a number of times, even just the last 2 days when I was at the state games, the Powerade State games, where you get 10 or 11 swings on a pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
It's to frustrate the pitcher.
Work that pitcher deep in that count.
You get more than 6 pitches. We consider that
that can frustrate a pitcher too. You keep finding
really,
the pitcher saying, I just can't get this girl out. How many pitches am I have to throw? Exactly.
So I think a lot of times we keep track of that, and we keep track of how many swings and how many pitches we get for every one of our batters. It's a plus for us if they can get to 6 pitches. And so we tell them
anything past 6 is
anything
good.
plus 6 is a real quality at bat.
That's
and
good.
we tell them, to really hone in on the strike zone.
And you can
so we worked on that a lot this year, actually. So.
And as a batter, you can have a quality at bat without getting a hit too.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you can.
Yeah.
I mean, but making that pitcher pitch. Because I tell you, as a coach, there's nothing better than when a pitcher comes off the mound and she's only thrown 6 or 7
you
pitches.
love that.
And you go,
If they jump on that first
holy
pitch,
cow.
you're going great.
Those first pitch strikes, and the girl swinging.
If that girl has about a
it up.
12, 13, 14, 15 pitch at bat, boy, she really had a good at bat.
Exactly.
For your coaching, softball over baseball and coaching girls instead of boys. How about that?
Well, again, my children are all girls.
You had no choice.
I have 5 girls.
You were coaching girls before you began coaching at school, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But actually, I've never coached any of my girls.
Never coached your own children?
None of them actually. They played softball recreationally. They played in middle school. And when they got into high school, none of them really wanted to play.
They have the interest,
They didn't have the passion for it. A lot of girls got to have when you get into high school. But for me, I think it comes with just, I want to say, being around girls all the time.
And you're a pretty good coach. You probably also, in a way, hadn't thought about this, so I thought about it just now, but it's another thought. You see the need for girls to have quality coaching, and you see some of the need with the kind of help they need on the field. Because sometimes as a coach, you can watch a team being coached by another coach. That coach steps down, and that coach maybe takes a step away. You say, well, I may want to coach this team because I think I can help these kids. I see some things they need to work on. Even if you're not coaching the team, you may step in and offer some advice. Yeah,
that is definitely
There's
true.
a need. There's always about the need.
There is.
The fast pitch game, very quick game, like you said earlier, very quick game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think it's fast. There's been some complaint about armbands and calling pitches with numbers and that kind of thing, but because it tends to slow things down. I'll be honest. At the state games that we were just at, that takes a little while because the girls got to get used to calling pitches with a pitcher they don't know and a catcher they don't know, and so I mean it tends to, make it a little longer.
Do you see similarities between softball and baseball? The way your fast pitch game is, some similarities?
Yeah, I mean, very much so. I do think it's a little faster. I mean, obviously we finish our games quicker than they do.
Yeah.
Whether that's because we are able to get, again, the pitches when we need them and get the girls to hit into an out.
And one thing about it, there's not much room for margin of error, is there?
No,
not much room
not.
at all. It's a fine line to make between those mistakes. Big fine line. Things you try to instill into your players for softball and life.
Well, again, one of those is really the ability to commit, to make a commitment to something. Commitment to the team, but not just the team. Commitment to being a lifelong learner, to being a good student, to being a good athlete, having a physically fit life. Being physically fit.
You will see these kids in 10, 15 years and realize they're still in good shape.
Right.
And you helped them in that
hopefully
regard.
that made a difference in that. I mean, we talk about things like nutrition. We talk about food and, what kind of food
I don't remember
should you
any
be
coaches
eating
talking about
during
that at all back
during
in
the
the day.
season. And,
Man.
if you've got a game,
Yeah.
what should you eat for lunch?
The hard part is teaching about the schedule, because you go so fast, so quick, you just grab something and go.
Oh, I know.
And you
Life
instead
is
of grabbing a
that
couple
way
of
right
bananas, you grab one of those candy bars and just keep going. I'll grab a candy bar and say, I'm going to work out today. This is going to be my energy. I'm going to burn this stuff off. I just worked out. I just burned off a bunch. I'll replace it with this.
Right.
This is a quick, I call it quick fuel, but it's the wrong fuel,
Yeah, it is the wrong.
To never
fuel
learn.
At the time.
Never learn.
But commitment, I think, is one of the big ones, and then really, I would say teamwork and working together, realizing, and we said it a couple times this year that you may not have your best day today, but there's somebody on the team who's going to have a really knockout day, and it's going to take that slack up for you, I guess. And if you're working as a team, it's okay, because you're more than happy to know that there's someone else out there who's going to do it for you, who's going to be able to step in there for you.
Next year, what stops you from making another championship run? What stops you? Now, somebody can ask you the question, how are you guys going to make, what would stop you from making another championship run next year?
Well, obviously, if we have some of the players who either don't play or move out of the area,
Which you don't foresee that right
I don't
now.
see that happening. I expect to have both my pitchers come back. I expect to have tremendous hitters that I've had, including Kaylin Ray, who's just was on
What
fire.
year is she? Sophomore, junior?
She is a
senior?
junior, so
Yeah,
she'll be
yeah,
a senior
yeah.
next year. I've got strong outfield, strong hitters, strong pitching.
That's your team strengths. What would be some of your team weaknesses maybe coming back next year?
Well, as I already mentioned, Katie Bilbrey as a catcher, I think that will be a challenge for
Got to
us.
replace her.
Because, she played every game. She almost played every inning, but she did. I had a couple come in. Casey Neal is a junior. She came in a couple times, played catcher. Morgan McEldowney is a catcher. She's played a little bit. Ali Scaramuzzo, who was injured this year, did not get to play with us. She has played catcher, so
She's got some experience.
She's got some
Sometimes you
experience
love to get a
with it,
player
but-
like that back, because they had to sit there and watch that whole successful year before. They come out the
know.
next year,
They may be
they're ready
really
to
hungry
go,
for
man.
it.
They're hungry, yeah.
Exactly.
They may be hungry anybody on that team coming back,
That's
because they
true.
missed out on all the fun.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I would say the other thing is they have to really play as a team. They really do need to make sure that they kind of commit to each other and keeping themselves dedicated to the team. So,
What are your summer plans? What are you going to do this summer?
well, I just finished, as I mentioned, the Powerade State Games. We have I have AP statistics training. I'm going to be teaching AP statistics next year, so I'm going to Tennessee
So you're
for a
training
week.
for the next class you'll be teaching next.
Correct.
Going to teaching training, okay.
Right. So
And
I'm
where you got
going
to go to get that?
I'm
To?
going over to Tennessee to.
Wow.
I can't remember the name of the school now. Going over to Tennessee to
Okay.
go to AP training. Sorry, and it'll come.
Is that the kind of thing, I hope this is not a personal question,
No.
is that the kind of thing for continuing education that the school or the county or the state covers, you got to take out of your own pocket?
No, it is something that the county covers.
Gotcha, okay,
As
okay.
an AP class,
Sure.
you have to get recertified every 5 years, and so I have to go.
All
back
those
to
days in the Navy,
training,
did you ever
so-
see yourself as a teacher? Back in the Navy days?
Oh, I did a lot of training
Yeah.
as a Navy instructor, but I also did a lot of training on board ship. I was a
Gotcha.
weapons officer and an engineer.
You were the main man, yeah.
And we had to train the young guys how to do it, and so we did a lot of training. But I've got summer camp coming up July 13th through the 16th. So we'll have 7-year-olds
That's at your place.
rising 8th graders.
That's always a lot of
at
fun.
my place.
See,
That's
you kind
a
of
good
give
class.
back. You got to give back and teach those kids. Yeah.
Exactly, and I've got some alumni coming back.
Those little kids are usually excited when they come out there too, aren't they?
They are,
Well,
and I
but if you
think
could
they
just
have a
if you
great
could just
time.
bottle the excitement those kids had the first day
Oh,
of camp
gosh.
before you even begin the first exercise, you
I
bottle
know.
that, you're good to go. They're so pumped up when they first get there.
They're always pumped
Wow,
up when
wow.
we get there. We have a great time with that. And then really, in August we get ready for fall sports. I work with football and doing the scoreboard and that kind of stuff. I work in the
You're
announcing
helping up
booth.
there. So you're up there. We see you in the booth up there someday. Yeah, okay.
And do
Gotcha.
tickets and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I get busy getting back into school.
Right, back in the
so-
swing thing. If you had to choose between a teacher and a coach, which one would you choose?
Wow. That's tough because I'll be honest, you reach a lot more kids as a teacher, but I don't know that I reach a lot of them. I feel like as a coach, I get to have that more personal relationship with a
Yeah, when you
student,
see them 10, 15
and you
years
can
down the road,
actually
you make
a
more of an
better
impact.
connection.
Yeah.
And you make more of an impact with them. I have kids that I've taught
Right.
that have come back to me.
Oh, yeah.
Even kids from Northwest that I've seen, and they're like,
The crazy
have
thing
great
is, I was supposed to
experiences,
teaching years ago, and you throw this question toward a kid, and you see a kid 30 years down the road, and they still remember that same question. You ask them, what do you want to be when you finally get all that done? And they end up wanting that same profession. You're thinking, man, I hope I didn't have that much impact on somebody, because the other impact, you worry about some of the other impact you may have on
That's
somebody at the
true.
same time. Here's a question, tough one, very tough one here. You're pretty good with the glove, I'm sure. I have to do all this. Coach, you got to be good with the glove. Got to be good catching the ball. Could you catch a baby, or could you catch a baseball holding a baby? If you seen that photo, that guy.
Oh,
Could you be able to catch a baseball while you're holding a baby?
I don't know that I could do that.
That's crazy. And that guy caught it barehanded. Did you see that?
Yeah, I
I
did.
saw that a bunch of times today. That's crazy.
That is
Could you
crazy.
catch a softball while holding a baby?
Yeah, I don't know that I could do that. I don't know that I would want to try to do that.
I can't believe the guy tried it, but he acted like it was just nothing to it.
Right.
He was a Chicago Cub fan, I think, too. Those Cub fans. And
I don't remember the
thing that
game.
bothers me sometimes about those catches like that, though, if the opposing team's fan catches your ball that you could have called for an out, I'm going crazy.
Right,
But those
exactly.
fans that were part of the game,
Yeah.
I don't know if they are or not, though. I'm not sure. I'm not
I
sold
don't
on
think
that
they
fact.
should be.
I'm not sold on that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite TV show when you watch TV?
Oh gosh.
How about that one with Mark Harmon? Is that a favorite? That's kinda-
NCIS.
Yeah.
I
Is
was
that
watching that just the other day.
Well, I thought that
'Cause
might
I
be
have
just.
not had a chance to watch a lot
I
of
bet
TV,
not.
obviously, in the last few weeks.
But I just
But I
jumped in my
like
head.
that
That might
show.
be something you might be with. Yeah. What about if you started your own TV show? What kind of show would you have, you think?
Oh gosh.
Maybe an instructional show of some sort? I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't know about reality shows anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's getting
how
kind
real
of.
they are.
Some are getting a little sad in some cases, too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The two players you got here tonight, you got Morgan Michael Downey and Grace
Wasoli.
Wasoli. Who do you want to come in first?
I think Grace is going to come in first.
Okay, that'll be fine. It'll be your choice.
She's a sophomore. She played shortstop for us. She played a little bit with us last year because I just didn't have the bodies. She had to pitch.
Sometimes
actually.
a good old coach's stand, well, sometimes it turns out good later. If you got to force a kid in a position and force play that season, well, the next year you're glad. Well, I'm glad that worked out like that.
Yeah, and she's really done a great job improving through the year. So she played on JV most of the season last year. She was a pitcher on JV actually most of the season
good
last year.
experience,
Just because I didn't have any.
And in a pinch, she could pitch for you again. And
Well,
good. Yeah,
that is true. In a pinch, she knows how. And her sister, Erin, Wasoli, pitched for us in JV a couple years ago when I first got there. She pitched for 2 years when I was first there.
When did you first coach your first softball game as a softball coach?
Well, I coached for 5 years over at Northwest.
At Northwest before
As
that?
an assistant coach
Yeah.
with Jason Tu and some of the other staff.
What about going back in the Navy? You coaching any back then?
I actually did coach when I was at the Navy Nuclear Power School.
Picked it up
down
back
in
there
Orlando,
then?
Florida.
Okay.
And I used to play catcher and second base, but I also coached the team back there. So it was a bunch of Navy guys, and we played
I bet
in
they played
leagues.
hard.
We played out in Washington when I was out there.
Washington State.
Washington
yeah,
State.
yeah.
So it was not fast pitch, of course. It was slow pitch, but we played a lot.
Let's let Grace come in. Coach,
Okay.
thank you for the good